All right. I'm going to get started with some of the opening logistics while folks continue to log on. And by the time we move over to our facilitators, everybody should be here. Welcome to our participants today. We thank you for joining us for this AGM orientation session webinar. My name is Niall Richardson. I am joined by Felipe Godoy. We are part of the member engagement team here at PIPS. We are also joined today by our colleagues Patricia Chong from the education team, Sharon Fryer, and Janine Morrison from the AGM team. So welcome to everyone today. Today, we are looking to cover a review of parliamentary procedure, the functioning of the annual general meeting or the AGM, and what to expect during the meeting. You will also have an opportunity to ask questions, and we ask that, again, you use that Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen to do so. To begin, we would like to take some time to respectfully acknowledge that our office, located in Ottawa, is on the unceded, unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Before this land was a city, it was and remains a place for the Algonquin Anishinaabe people, whose presence here reaches back over 8,000 years. As settlers, it is our responsibility to educate ourselves on the history of the First Peoples, to learn how to be respectful of their culture, to acknowledge their pain and our part in it. This journey of understanding is uncomfortable, but part of discovering our past and how we continue to benefit from it is the duty to grow and to change in order to want to do better. Working towards change, we can be hopeful that our journey guides us to a peaceful, inclusive, and respectful future, one where we can hope to have done the work required to be seen as guests of this great land and its First Peoples, and to be part of their community. If you've started the journey of learning whose territory you live and work on, we invite you to make an acknowledgement in the Q&A. At the beginning of our webinars, we like to provide you with our equity statement, which clearly outlines our expectations from participants. If you could please take a moment to review the statement, the link is in the chat box. As noted, the Professional Institute of the Public Service of Canada strives to create a climate that is respectful, safe, and inclusive, where we all feel welcome and valued, and where we are supported to make our contribution and support others to make theirs. We thank you for being a part of this inclusive space today. Last but not least, let's go over some of the key features of Zoom today. Due to the size of the group, for the most part, you will be muted to ensure the best sound quality for everyone participating today. We ask again that you use the Q&A icon in Zoom to send us a message if you have any questions or technical issues during the webinar. And just so everyone knows, the webinar today is being recorded and it will be made available to folks afterwards. I'll turn it over to Felipe.
Thank you, Nell. We would now like to turn it over to our facilitator for today, Patricia.
Great. Welcome, everyone. I'm Patricia Chong, one of the education officers here at PIPS. So I'm just going to provide a brief review of the agenda today. We have just under an hour, and I just wanted to show you what we will be covering. We'll also be including various emails, because I do see someone's put in the chat, for example, that you may have more specific questions. So again, we will be providing emails where you can ask more specific questions if you would like. So briefly, we will do 1, welcome and introductions shortly. 2, claiming salary replacement for this webinar. 3, what exactly is the purpose of the PIPS AGM? 4, what is your role as the delegate? And I would assume that many of you have not been to the PIPS AGM before. 5, we're going to briefly review resolutions and rules of procedure. What exactly happens at the AGM and how do things function? 6, there'll be a brief activity where we'll be debating a mock resolution. 7, as I mentioned before, we'll be going through some resources to prepare you for the AGM and contacts for you to contact in case you have questions or queries. And then 8, we will review the AGM agenda itself. And then 9, we will open it up to questions. Okay, thank you very much. Well, let's start getting to know each other. Sorry, just one back. To say welcome and introductions. Or not, okay. So let's just start with 2 poll questions. If we could have the first poll question up, please, and thank you. Great, so we'll have one of two poll questions. So let's get a sense of where people are joining us from Canada today. Great, and we have 155 participants today. Yes, you can put it in the chat if you like, or you can answer the poll question. Hey. We'll do another 30 seconds to give everybody a chance. This is the first of two poll questions. Okay, if we could go to the next poll question, please.
There's two poll questions with the first poll. So you have the region and then also the three top priorities for attending the PIPS AGM. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Can I go to the second question? Thank you.
Yeah, if you just scroll down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. That's good. The PIPS members know what's going on rather than me. Great. And if you have not already done so, question two are, what are your top three priorities for attending the PIPS AGM? Okay, so I'll give you another 10 seconds. Great, so I'm going to end the poll and then we can show the results. Do folks see the results? Yes? Yes, okay, great. So people should see, it looks like majority from NCR, National Capital Region, and Ontario. Sorry, I'm just trying to get, yep. Interesting breakdown. Great. BC, thanks for waking up so early to join us, BC folks. All good. Okay, and the second question, you can pick the top three. In order, setting PIPS's priorities, of course, very important, and you'll be doing that. Forming new connections and relationships with PIPS members, that's wonderful. Third, we have building stronger connections with PIPS members I already know. Great, and then the other ones. So of course, with the PIPS AGM, you have the formal agenda, but of course, as we can see from your results for the second question, and no worries if you didn't get to the second question, there's also, informal opportunities for you to connect with PIPS members perhaps from your region, and PIPS members you do not know. So I'm really happy to see that because that's how we're going to build PIPS as a union and how we're also going to build the labor movement in Canada. Okay, so we're going to move on to claiming salary replacement for AGM orientation session, which you're in right now. You should have received a union authorization letter as part of your registration confirmation for this session. You complete the form and you return it to claims@pips.ca. So again, you should have gotten a form, return the form at that email address. Also, if you have any questions, please send the questions to claims@pips.ca. Okay, moving on. Let's talk more about the actual purpose of the AGM. So specifically, you are the members of PIPS. You decide how your union, not us as staff, how you and your union are going to prioritize goals for the next year or so. So first, set union priorities. And how do you do that? We will have debate and votes on changes at PIPS, motions, and things like that, which is why we're going to be sharing a bit of a review of how PIPS AGMs actually run. And of course, one of the major purposes of the AGM, union democracy in action, and also we want to build solidarity within PIPS. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. What exactly is the role of the delegate? So I asked you what your top 3 priorities are. And so perhaps what are some of the ways you can get more involved in your role as a delegate? So obviously, as you can see from this image here, we have, looks like there's a debate happening. So the idea is that there are going to be motions that we'll get into briefly that will represent someone's idea about what they want PIPS to do regarding a specific issue, for example. And so there are the resolutions that will be presented at the AGM or already available. So as a delegate, a great way for you to get involved and get the maximum benefit from attending the AGM is making sure you review those resolutions before the actual AGM. You will also have opportunities to listen to both sides of the debate at the AGM. You will have the opportunity to participate in caucuses, forums, and ancillary meetings, which we will review at the end of this presentation. You'll be able to have a chance to also engage with other delegates, both informally and formally at the AGM. And hopefully you will be able to have a chance to both strengthen your relationships with PIPS members and activists you know, and hopefully you can challenge yourself and reach out to perhaps people you do not know. Okay, and so let's move on to the next slide. So here is where we get more into the nitty-gritty of actual resolutions and rules of procedure. So first and foremost, you do not need to memorize all of this stuff. No one's expecting you to know all the rules before you go to the AGM. And PIPS has been so nice, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner, we'll be distributing these rules of order and parliamentary procedure. So just going to give you the heads up, we're going to do a quick review of like the major process. Of course, there'll always be little things that might adjust here and there in real life, but that's why you'll have chairs and you'll also have a PIPS staff to lean on. So briefly, let's first talk about what a resolution is. So a resolution, so now you might have to, press the next button. So there you go. What is a resolution? A resolution is, can you press the next button? A formal expression stating intended action by a member or constituent body. So what does this mean? We're basically trying to set the agenda for PIPS as a labor union and what we're going to be doing, policies, major decisions, things like that. So resolution, great. So let's talk about why someone would put in a resolution. And we'll go to the next little line, please, Niall. Why? And we'll go to the next slide. To ask for a change in policy, bylaws, or spending, propose an initiative, or to make a statement. Self-explanatory. And who? Great. And we can go to the next point. Any PIPS member, so you folks, we as PIPS staff, we do not run the union. You tell us what to do and we will do it. But we as staff are not PIPS. We don't vote. So it's you as PIPS members, as PIPS delegates, who actually can put forth resolutions. So any PIPS member, but only authorized delegates can move or second. And we will get into that. Okay, so let's go to the next slide where we're going to talk about what exactly are the rules of procedure in terms of debating a motion. And again, you're not going to need to memorize all this, but we want to just give you a high overview. So first and foremost, resolutions need to be moved and seconded. So what does that mean? Essentially, what happens is I, for example, may put forth a motion. And let's say nobody at all at the PIPS AGM agrees with that motion. You essentially need someone to move the motion, say, I have a motion, and you need someone to second it. And when you have someone second it, it can then actually go into a debate. So you might hear someone say, I need a seconder, and then we'll have someone raise their hand and it's recorded. So you've got the motion, and you've got the seconder. And then we'll start the actual debate, which is the next step in rules of procedure. So this is where I would say the majority of AGM time is spent in terms of debate. So you've got democracy in action, you've got people debating. And what happens is you will have a pro mic. So you'll be in the AGM room. There'll be one microphone that's clearly labeled pro, both English and French, and another microphone that's labeled con. So if you have a motion on the floor, people who are in favor of said motion will line up in the pro, and people who are against said motion will line up at the con mic. Each person should technically only be able to speak once, and each person speaking can only speak for 3 minutes maximum. Generally, the opportunity again is to speak once, and then the chair will be monitoring your time. And also the person who moved the motion, who put the motion forward, typically that person has the privilege of closing the motion. Great. And then lastly, speak through the chair. When you're having a debate, we're not going to have the people, the pro mic being like, hey, you con mic people, and the con people being like, hey, you pro mic people. What actually happens is people are actually directing their comments directly to the chair. So there is no back and forth between the pro mic and the con mic. So what have we done so far? We moved a resolution. Someone seconded it. There was a debate. Pro people got to speak, then the con, then the pro, then the con. And then now we're entering the close of the debate. So obviously debates could technically go on forever, but we want to respect people's time at the AGM and follow the allotted time. So what will happen is the chair will ask, are we ready for the question? And the question is the actual vote. So typically you'll hear the chair say, are we ready for the question to actually vote on said resolution now that we've had a thorough debate? Or if the chair has not moved to call the question, you may have seen this or at other union functions, someone, i.e. a PIPS member, could say, I move the question, which means I'm a PIPS member. I think we have had enough debate about this particular motion, so I want us to move the question. And again, that means to a vote. In order to do that, you need a 2/3 majority of PIPS members, in the room voting to actually vote on the resolution. So some of that might seem a bit abstract. And again, you have this little nifty thing here. So let's actually practice that resolution. If we could go to the next slide. Great. Oops, sorry. Yes, some of the parliamentary procedure. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. There are some very common used motions that we wanted to highlight for you so you're not lost at the actual resolution. At the actual AGM. Can we get the next slide, please? The next point. Great. So you may hear someone say, point of order. What does that mean if someone says point of order? The purpose of saying that is you think that the procedure is not being followed correctly. So can you interrupt? Yes. Note, this is not the time for interrupting or giving advice to the chair. So let's give you an actual example. Point of order, we're 30 minutes past break. Okay, so that's point of order. Let's go to the next one, please, and thank you. Question of privilege. You would say at the mic, I rise to a question of privilege. What is the purpose of this? You want to make a request related to safety, comfort, dignity, reputation, or a disturbance. Can you interrupt the AGM by going to the mic? Yes. An example of this would be question of privilege. There's an error in the translation. So you can see in this example, you would not want the AGM to continue if there's a mistake in the translation. So that's why you have the ability to interrupt. However, if you look under note, you would first try to speak to a sergeant at arms, which we'll review briefly, or staff first. Because obviously, if you could be able to speak to a sergeant at arms or a PIPS staff member, you would likely be able to address the issue rather than interrupting the entire function of the AGM. And can we go to the third and last commonly used motion? Now, I would say I'd like to request information if, for example, you feel that you want to ask the chair a question related to the pending motion. For example, how many members would this motion affect? So that's basically if you felt like the pro and the con didn't answer your question, or the motion is lacking some key information, such as how many members would it impact, you could say, I'd like to request information. Okay, and in most cases, you are not allowed to just interrupt. You would just ask the chair. Okay, so just again, quickly, these are just some commonly used motions that you will most likely hear. Great, let's go to the next slide. Now we're going to do a very quick debating a resolution activity. Great, next slide, please. Great, so this is a very controversial motion that just hit the PIPS AGM floor. It's an emergency motion. The practice motion is this: whereas everyone should eat more fruit, whereas studies have shown that pineapples have beneficial nutritional impacts, be it resolved that PIPS policy will be amended to make pineapple on pizza mandatory for all union meetings providing pizza. So you'll see here, whereas is kind of like the premise. Whereas pineapple, people should eat more fruit. Whereas pineapples have great nutritional benefit, be it resolved. The action is pineapple on pizza for all PIPS meetings. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, if we could go to the next slide. So you'll see, oh, sorry, I think the motion's a bit mixed up. Activity, you're going to be debating a motion. So the motion just now was the pineapple motion. So I'm going to just ask for fun if somebody could raise their hand and say, okay, we got one person raised. Say, I'm your name from the blank branch, because people want to know who you are, right? And you wanted to make some new friends. And I'm speaking in favor of the pineapple or the motion, or against. And then with your most passion, as much passion as you can muster, what are, one or two reasons you are pro pizza, pro pineapple on pizza? Okay, so I think we have Violina, is that correct? And so if we could let Violina speak, and if she wants to have her mic or her camera on, yes or no, it's up to her. So we'll do pro and then, okay. Hi there, thank you. Great, so the floor is now on the pro mic. Please go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm against.
Oh, you're against.
I am against.
Okay, can you do pro, or are you emotionally involved with this and you have to do con?
Well, I can do pro.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Violina.
I am Violina, and I am from the SP branch in the National Capital Region.
What is the SP branch, my friend?
Oh, this is the Science and Policy branch.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm speaking in favor of the resolution. I think we should all have pineapples on pizza because, number one, this is a Canadian invention. We're all Canadian. We should support Canadianism. Number two, yesterday was Halloween. And surprise, surprise, I was dressed as a pineapple. And because I am a wonderful pineapple, I think everybody should experience my flavor. That's why we should have pineapple on pizza. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking at the pro mic. That's great. Now, as the chair, I'm going to open it up to the cons. So these are people who feel that they are against the policy of having mandatory pineapple on pizza. So could I have someone do the same thing but be speaking from a con position, please and thank you. So anyone have their hand raised? Okay, so Niall, if you just want to pick someone. Oh, there's a lot of people for anti. Wow, okay. Okay, so anyone, Niall, you want to pick someone? Okay, so let's pick sorry, I think I see a wrong, oh no, sorry, wrong.
I have
Wang.
Mark
Oh, you
Benoit.
have, I'm so sorry. Okay, Mark Benoit, my apologies.
Sorry, my
Okay, so,
microphone was off too, so I'm good now.
oh, no problem, Mark. Great, could you please introduce yourself and speak to why you are speaking against the motion?
Yes, my name is Mark Benoit. I'm on the IT group at downtown Ottawa, and I speak against the pineapples because it stings my mouth every time. I love the taste, but it stings my mouth, so I don't want to get my mouth stung if I eat a piece of pineapple. And some ingredients just don't go well with pineapple. That's it. So
Very true. Very true. That's true. Okay, so thank you. We have had we've had the for people speak. We've had the against people speak. I'm going to end the debate, and then we would potentially go on to vote for the pineapple on pizza resolution. Please note that it seems like based on the responses that the motion will carry based on how many people raise their hands in terms of being against this motion. So my apologies, the motion has failed. I do want to clarify a few things. First, sorry, I tend to say pro and con. That is incorrect. It's for or against. So no pro and con, for or against. And just for the sake of clarity, when I said to you, if we're going to call a question, it requires a 2/3 majority of people in the room to call the question. That means you've had enough of the debate and you feel ready to vote. It requires a 2/3 majority of the people in the room. Having said that, when it comes to actually voting on the main motion, i.e. the pizza motion, it's a simple majority. So 50% plus one of the people voting in the room. Great. Okay, let's move forward. So, see this little wheel? So PIPS is super high tech and has all this stuff online to save the environment. So if you have not already done so, you will go to download the AGM app, the CVET Hub. It is a great and wonderful app. I used that last year. It will not only give you the schedule for the actual AGM, but stuff, if you have a specific meeting you're attending, like the financial forum, it will ding you and say, hey, go over to the financial forum and things like that. It's a wonderful app. So you should download it already. And of course, we have the AGM webpage, which has a virtual binder, which of course will include all the resolutions and things like that. Frequently asked questions, again, rules of procedure, which we briefly reviewed, and so much more. And you will also get your PIPS wheel. Yes, and again, the virtual binder includes things like agendas, bylaws, policies, brochures for the retired members, other forms you may need, anti-harassment challenges, financial resolutions, and again, most importantly, the resolutions. Okay, so let's talk about contacts. So there will be PIPs in attendance at your AGM. You will identify them by their red lanyards. You will also see Sergeant at Arms, and you see them displayed here at the 2022 AGM. They're your first point of contact. You would go to them if you have any questions related to the assembly, if you have any general questions and concerns, and also if you're experiencing any forms of harassment. Also, as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, if you have a point of order, for example, you think the translation being presented is incorrect, you could, as I said, visit the Sergeant at Arms here or a staff member. And then lastly, we have what we call anti-harassment champions. They will be wearing blue ribbons. Next slide, please, and thank you. So you're going to get to the AGM in Toronto. You're going to check in. That'll be done at the lower concourse. You can register, as you can see here, on Thursday, November 7th, 2 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Same thing, Friday, November 8th, 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Dress casual attire. Great, and now let's get more into looking at the agenda at a glance in the next slide. Great, so again, you can put this in your personal app. On Thursday, November 7th, from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m., you will have caucuses and ancillary meetings. And from 7 to 9 p.m. that evening, you will have a financial forum. And we have some people who can maybe speak to that a little bit later. Great, so Friday, November 8th, you've got your breakfast in the morning and you go straight into AGM business from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Obviously, we have beverage breaks. You will have a lunchtime period and afternoon breaks. That's a great opportunity to maybe, sit with someone new, grab a coffee with a new person. Okay, and we'll go to Saturday, which is the second and last day of the AGM. The mad dash will be happening. Those for early risers who like to run around. Breakfast, again, we right into AGM business, 8:30 to 6 p.m. Again, beverage breaks, health breaks, lunch breaks, and the meeting will adjourn at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Great. Okay, so now we're going to go into any questions. People have been putting them into the chat, and my colleagues have been keeping track of them. So I guess I will open it up to questions. I don't know if anyone else wants to speak specifically to anything I may have mentioned to my colleagues. Thanks very much.
Yeah, just to clarify, if you'd like to ask a question, please use the Q&A tool located at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We'll do our best to answer your questions, but if we run out of time or if you think of a question post-webinar, please check out the AGM webpage or reach out by sending a message to the AGM team. We'll post that information in the chat for everybody.
Okay, so I see some of my colleagues are answering questions via the chat function. That's fine. I don't know if anybody wants to answer any other questions verbally for the group, whatever people mention. Okay, sorry. Someone asked, can you confirm who is defined as a delegate? Can anyone maybe share that? Because it's not like you can just show up and you're a delegate. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. A delegate is selected by your region to attend the AGM, and a delegate can vote. So anyone who's a delegate, be in the either in the room or virtually, will be able to vote on the motions that have been put forward.
Wonderful. Great. Yes, you have to use the Q&A function. That's to ask questions. Will this PowerPoint slide deck be available to download? Yes, it is. I believe it's already on the AGM app. Okay, so people who are asking questions about like travel that are specific to you, I would again encourage you to send any specific questions, because also to protect your confidentiality, to this email address. Okay, and I believe we already, maybe people could do it again. Where is the PIPS AGM app? Is there a direct link?
Everyone should have received an email about that this week. I believe it was on Tuesday it went out, Sharon. Am I right? Yes, on Tuesday it went out. If you're having trouble with the app, feel free to email that AGM inbox and we will certainly get you sorted out.
Great. Niall, also, did you have anything? Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say on the AGM website this year as well, there is rules of procedure are there. So there was a lot of questions throughout asking, how things are moved, what a motion is, and so on and so forth. All of that is answered in that document on the 105th Annual General Meeting website under Rules of Procedure. So you'll see quick links on the side. There's Rules of Procedure. If you want to click on that, if you're fairly new to the AGM process, it will thoroughly explain everything in there. And I think it will help a lot before you go. It's not very long. So if people want to just take a quick read through there.
Mm-hmm.
I see a good one. How is voting
Sure.
accomplished, electronically or otherwise? Janine is the authority on all voting.
Not authority, but I do know how it works. So at the AGM, you will receive a voting card. That will be a card you need to keep on your person at all times throughout the AGM. It is coded specifically for you. And then at all of the tables, or at all the seats, sorry, there will be voting devices. So you just put your card in the very top, and it'll be like it looks like a BlackBerry, to be honest. It looks like a BlackBerry and there's a little screen on it. It will tell you how to use it. It'll say for or against. We'll also go through that at the beginning of the AGM. There's a little video that they show on how to vote. But you'll put your card in there and then the resolution will come up on the screen and you say for or against, and then there'll be fairly instant results as well.
Thanks, Janine.
Here's a great question. It's an anonymous person. Is there anything you think is important to know for first-time delegates?
We're all pondering it.
Yeah.
Well, I was at the last AGM in Montreal. That was my first time. There is a lot of information, but it's very well organized. I will say there's tons of resources, like you'll have staff there, you'll have people from your region or group there. So I wouldn't feel, too overwhelmed. There's always someone you can ask. And, if we don't have the answer, because as you can clearly see, I don't have the answer to anything, we can find out the answer for you. So please, this is your union. This is one of the few times that you get to actually, vote and, create change in terms of how you want your union to function. So I really do think it's great you're attending. Please speak to anyone if you have any questions. It's also a really wonderful time to get to know fellow PIPS colleagues from your region, your branch, your region, your group, or other folks you may not know. So just, you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to add to that? Great.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Felipe.
Janine. Well, I was going to say we're getting great suggestions in the Q&A as well, so I'm happy to read some of them. Chaos is normal. Don't be afraid to ask the person next to you what is going on. Buddy up with someone that has been there before. All sorts of things. But it'd be great. And again, staff is here to help support and lead you where you need to go. So.
I was just going to add to that. Check out the website. There is, before you come, there is the 105th Annual General Meeting website on the PIPS website. And it has all of, so the virtual binder, you'll see a link there to the virtual binder. The virtual binder will have the agenda, all the resolutions that are going to hit the floor, or the ones that they don't necessarily all hit the floor, but all of the resolutions that have been put forward. There's all sorts of information on the rules of procedure, like I mentioned. So definitely have a look through there. And I think you'll feel a little bit more comfortable with how things happen in the room. When you get there, there is a registration desk. We'll have signs how to get to the registration desk. You'll go register, you'll get your badge, you'll get that voting card that I mentioned, and any interpretation devices you need, and so on. And as Patricia said, we're all around. There's staff will have red lanyards. We're pretty well identifiable, and feel free to ask us questions at any point.
There is also 2 questions regarding observers. So that's a great point. We have delegates, and we spoke about that already. So can someone talk about who is an observer and how would an observer get invited to the PIPS AGM?
I can take that one too. So observers are non-voters, so they are not able to vote. In past years, we did allow observers to join the AGM. This year, due to trying to contain the cost, we are not allowing any in-person observers. So all observers this year will be virtual. We do have a live stream of the event. If you would like to join the live stream, or you know of colleagues or someone else in the union that would like to join the live stream, all they have to do is email it@pips.ca, and our IT team will ensure they have access to that live stream. They confirm that they are a member in good standing ahead of that, and they go through a few steps, but they will ensure that they have access to live stream it and they can watch the entire event from their home.
Someone asked about, again, the voting process. Is the voting anonymous?
Yes.
And that's because we're voting through the little device, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah, so
We're voting through a device. We hire a company that does all of it for us. They will just put up the for and against and abstains on the screen. They will not, there's no names associated to anything.
great. We have a few more questions. One was about translation devices, and the other one was about assigned seating.
Okay, both good questions. What was the question about the interpretation devices?
Yes, the translation, interpretation devices. So how do people get those?
Okay, so there will be a booth when you register. We can point you in that direction. Once you get to the registration booth, you'll see there's an IT booth. There's a booth you can get your headset for interpretation. There's, you'll see various booths around. They'll all be well labeled, and you'll be able to pick them up there. What was the other one you said, Patricia?
Assigned seating.
Assigned seating,
at the
yes.
AGM.
Yes, so we are doing assigned seating this year, and this is the first year in a long time we've tried this. Generally, when people attend the AGM, they're all kind of trying to fight for their spot and figure out where they're going to sit. So this year we've gone ahead and done assigned seating. We met with all the group presidents and we spun a wheel. They had their option of seating. So we made sure we did all of this very fairly. They have all decided amongst themselves and all agreed to the seating chart plan. All groups have. So we will put that on, I believe it's already on the app. It will be outside the room. It'll be with the sergeant at arms. It will be wherever we can post it, we're going to post it to make it a little bit easier for you. But if you want to look and see where your group is sitting, feel free to take a look at the app. If you have special accommodations, we're also going to label those seats as such. So you'll have your name on your seat or in front of your seat on a place card, just so that we make sure those accommodations are met as well.
Wonderful. I think, sorry. Okay, great. Anyone else wanted to add any questions in the chat, or I wanted to give the opportunity to some of my wonderful colleagues to answer questions verbally, because I know they've answered some by writing them down.
The Wi-Fi will be available throughout the event, and excuse me, we've actually have a special Wi-Fi just for the event, so that will be posted on the screens, and it's also in your app. The information is already there. You do not have to add sessions manually to your app. It will automatically do that for you with whatever you're attending, I should say.
There are a few questions about these assigned seating again.
Okay.
Is the assigned seating by group/region, or are regional delegates sitting with their groups? So is that clear? When we say groups, what do we mean by groups, I guess?
So they're sitting with their group or region. Okay. We've like I said, we met with all the group and regional presidents for anyone who had delegates over 10. Those that had delegates under 10, we put them with kind of their area. So for instance, all of the radiation therapists from BC are sitting with BC. And so on. So we've done it as fairly as we possibly could. The room this year is much different. For anyone who attended last year, this room is much larger. And so you're not going to be super crammed. There's a little bit more breathing space. And it's, I don't know how to describe it. It's width-wise instead of lengthwise, I guess. So it's wider. People will have better opportunity to see. No one's going to have a bad seat. It's just a matter of sitting with your colleagues or your group or region. iPads are not going to be available again this year. They are quite costly and there's not a lot of uptake, so we've decided not to do them this year. Everything will be on your phone. We will have some extra laptops. IT is well equipped with everything that we need. So if something is not working, then there will be an IT table and you're welcome to go ask them and they will help you out.
One question again about the seating in terms of accommodations within, and I'm quoting here, within the group seating, is everyone's seat listed or general seating within your group unless you have accommodation needs? So is it just your group or is it like, Niall, you sit here, Felipe, you sit here, Janine?
No, so how it's gonna work is say you are with the Ontario region and you have an accommodation, say you have a wheelchair. So what we have done is we've put you with Ontario, but you will be at the end of an aisle and you will have your specified seat. So it will say Patricia Chong, wheelchair, sits here. So that we can keep that outside seat reserved for you. If you don't have an accommodation, then you will just sit amongst any of the chairs that are grouped for Ontario.
I also see a question about power at the tables.
We will have power at the tables.
Easy one.
A few things that I've noted as well is if folks have any general questions, you can just go to PIPSC.ca. On the homepage, if you scroll to the bottom, you should see a box that says AGM, and that's where all this information that we talked about here today. Also, some folks were asking about the app itself. I just checked on the app store. If you have that going, I'm sure it's on Google Play as well. But if you search PIPSC AGM, it shows up there. You can download it from there. Someone asked about their work phone. We always recommend using your personal devices as well as your personal emails, as you know. So just FYI.
Today's slides are already posted on the app. If you have the app, I don't know if they've been posted to the website or not. Are they on the website, Felipe, do you know?
Not yet, but it can be there today.
Yeah, we can post them there as well. Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Some folks have posted the link to the app in the Q&A, so folks could click on that if they're still looking for the app.
There's just one more thing here, I think, Niall. Can you please talk or mention about the meeting occurring on November 7th? So November 7th is the financial forum. So this is a chance for a Q&A for our financial director, John Purdy, as well as Tommy Barron will lead that. And it's a bit informal. It's not really related to the AGM, but it is because they're obviously speaking around the budget, but it's only around the budget. We're not looking at motions or resolutions. Nothing gets put forward in that meeting. It's a simple Q&A. If you would like to attend, I believe it was in your registration that you could attend and you could sign up for it. If you didn't do that and you'd still like to attend, that's no problem. Just email the AGM inbox, which is in the chat, I believe, and that will help you out. Sorry, I know you were wrapping up.
No, now I'm looking.
I'll just ask one more question. Yeah, I see. Sorry, maybe it was not clear. How do they determine when to go to vote? The 2/3 majority vote before you actually vote on the motion. Yes, it's a bit funny. You are going to be voting on whether you're ready to actually vote on the motion. So yes, you vote. That vote is a 2/3 majority vote to actually start to have a next vote to accept or reject the motion. So you vote to technically vote, and then you vote on the actual motion. And the chair will be there and will explain that much more eloquently than me.
Yes, it's not, once you're in the room, don't be intimidated. It will be fine. The chair is very great. He will explain really thoroughly, and he walks everybody through everything. And at the screens as well, we have monitors kind of everywhere hanging from the ceilings. They will also say, you know, it's now time to vote on whatever you're voting on. So it's pretty straightforward once you're in the room.
Great. Can you speak a little bit more about who the chair is? Is that person a PIPS member?
Yeah, it's Niall, did you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's Paul from last year. If you were there last year, Paul Cardenia is a PIPS member. He was a phenomenal chair, and he has agreed to return again. So we're looking forward to having him as the chair once more.
Same with the parliamentarian, will be the same as last year, Erica Pereiras, also a member and very, very good at being the parliamentarian.
I'll just note more of a
Go ahead.
comment there. Andrea wrote, there are also delegate caucuses the night before the AGM starts. Regional and group caucuses run for about an hour or two before the financial forum starts at 7 p.m. on Thursday. Great. Thank you for pointing that out, Andrea.
Mhm.
I will also say that there are 2 networking sessions on the Friday and the Saturday that folks were able to register for. One is for member engagement networking, and the other one is for steward networking. So those are over the lunch break. Lunch is served in the room that the networking session is taking place, and the member engagement team, including Felipe and I, will be helping facilitate the member engagement networking. And we have our National Steward Officer and Steward Coordinator and Member Engagement Coordinator supporting the Steward session. So we look forward to seeing folks at those sessions over the lunch hour if you have registered. I think that might be it. Does anyone else see any other questions?
A few folks are asking about certain parliamentary procedure, and again, I do really recommend you go. I've sent the link to a few of you. Go read the rules of procedure. I think it will explain a lot of what you're asking about around splitting votes and whatnot.
I popped that into the chat as well, the link for folks if they want to go do some homework.
Thank you.
Before you get your wheel.
Exactly. We will have those procedural wheels throughout the room as well. So they're very, very helpful. Our chair actually was just raving about them. He thinks they're wonderful too.
Really
so,
good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also see someone asking if the steward networking session is open to individuals who are not currently stewards but are interested in becoming one. Yes, please attend. It would be a great opportunity for you to meet current stewards and kind of get a good sense of the work that they do and what they're like. They're all so lovely. So I will also say on the parliamentary procedure, because we have so many incredible members in the room, a lot of the time you can kind of turn to your right or to your left and say, hey, I don't really understand what's going on. Could you explain it? There's even folks there with like full books a lot of the time. And they're all really capable of explaining what's going on and how you can participate. So you shouldn't be shy. The advantage of being in person for an event like this is that you can connect with other delegates who've been here. There's probably some members who've been to, I don't even know how many AGMs at this point. I'm not going to call anyone out, but a lot. So ask folks if you see folks who look like they know what's going on. They're probably happy to help you as well. Perfect. All right. A huge thank you to Patricia for walking us through everything and for that very controversial pineapple motion. I'm glad to see it was defeated.
Always a good one.
And to Janine for answering many of our members' questions, and to Sharon, who was also answering a lot of questions, but she was typing her answers, so you didn't know it, but she was answering a lot of questions as well. And my colleague Felipe as well for supporting the webinar today. If you have any other questions, we put it in the chat a few times. You can check out the AGM webpage. There's a ton of information in there, including the virtual binder, which contains the resolutions, the rules of procedure. There's also the agenda, a fact sheet. There's lots of stuff up there. And you can also reach out to the AGM team. We've put that email in the chat as well. I think that's everything for today. Thanks for participating. We hope that you feel raring and ready to attend this year's AGM, and we look forward to seeing you there. We will post this. Do you know it's going to be on the website, the AGM website we're posting it? Yes,
Yeah, it's already
great.
on the app, and we will post it on the website.
Great. So you can rewatch it if you are that enthusiastic, or you can share it with other folks that you know who are attending the AGM and weren't able to make this session. We have another English session next Wednesday at 6 p.m. So if you have colleagues who are coming to the AGM who unfortunately missed it today, there's another opportunity for a live session where they can ask questions or they can watch the recordings. Perfect. Thanks, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.